There are some places that never feel right. You walk in, and your body knows before your mind does. The air feels heavy, the silence feels alive, and sometimes, a house remembers things that the people inside are trying to forget. This happened 3 years ago, and I still haven't told anyone the full story, not even my best friend. I met Ayan in college. He was the type of person everyone liked instantly, funny, relaxed, always smiling. We became close fast, the kind of friendship where you don't need to talk every day to know your brothers. But there was one strange thing about him. No matter how close we got, he never invited me to his house. At first, I didn't think much of it. Maybe strict parents, maybe family issues. But after 2 years of friendship, it started feeling weird. Every time I asked, he'd laugh it off. "Bro, my house is boring," or "another day." But one night, everything changed. It was raining heavily outside. Classes had ended late and transport was messed up. I remember checking my phone and realizing I couldn't get home before midnight. That's when Ayan looked at me strangely, like he was debating something in his head. Then he said, "You can stay at my place tonight." I laughed. Finally, but he didn't laugh back. Instead, he looked nervous, actually nervous. And before we left campus, he said something that still haunts me. He looked directly into my eyes and said, "No matter what you hear tonight, don't leave the room." I thought he was joking. I wish he was. The drive to his house took almost an hour. The rain kept getting worse. The roads became emptier. Streetlights disappeared one by one. Eventually, we reached an old neighborhood surrounded by dead trees. No people, no lights in nearby houses, just darkness. Then I saw the house. It was huge, not luxurious, old. The kind of house that looks abandoned even when someone lives inside. The paint was peeling. The windows looked black from the outside. And the top floor had no lights at all. For some reason, I couldn't stop staring at that floor. Ayan noticed and quietly said, "Don't go upstairs." I laughed awkwardly. "Bro, why are you acting like this place is haunted?" Again, he didn't answer. That was the first moment I truly felt uncomfortable. The front door opened before we even knocked. An old woman stood there, his mother. She smiled at me, but something about her smile felt wrong, like she was forcing it, like she was scared. "Come inside quickly," she whispered. Not said, whispered. The second I entered the house, I smelled it. A strange odor. Not rotten, not exactly, but damp, old. Almost like wet wood mixed with something metallic. The inside of the house was colder than outside, and completely silent. Too silent. No television, no clock ticking, nothing. Then I noticed something else. Every single window had thick curtains covering it. Even during lightning flashes outside, not a single bit of light entered. I suddenly felt trapped. Ayan showed me the guest room. It was small, with faded wallpaper and an old wooden bed. He stood near the door, thinking carefully before speaking. Then he said, "If you hear knocking, don't answer." I stared at him. He continued, "If someone calls your name, don't respond." At this point, I started laughing. "Okay, bro, enough." But he grabbed my arm, hard enough to hurt. And for the first time since I met him, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. "I'm serious." Silence filled the room. Then he slowly let go and walked out. The door closed behind him. I remember sitting there trying to convince myself this was some weird family tradition. Maybe they liked horror movies too much. Maybe they were trying to scare me. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. I checked my phone. No signal. Perfect. The rain outside became louder. Then, the lights flickered once, twice, and suddenly, everything went dark. Complete darkness. I froze. Then, from somewhere upstairs, I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, dragging. Thump, thump, thump. I sat upright on the bed. Every instinct in my body told me someone was walking directly above me. But I remembered something. Ayan said nobody goes upstairs. So who was up there? The footsteps stopped. Silence again. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 knocks, right outside my door. I felt my chest tighten. "Ayan," I whispered. No response. Then came another knock, slower this time, and a voice, my voice. "Open the door." Every hair on my body stood up instantly, because it sounded exactly like me. Not similar, exact. "Open the door." I couldn't breathe. I backed away from the door slowly. Then the voice changed. Now it sounded like Ayan. "Bro, please, help me." Something began scratching the other side of the door. Long, slow scratches, like fingernails dragging across wood. I covered my mouth to stop myself from breathing loudly. The scratching continued for almost a minute, then suddenly stopped. Silence. Complete silence. Until I heard footsteps walking away, back upstairs. I didn't sleep at all. I just sat there in darkness, watching the door, waiting, listening. At around 3 a.m., I heard whispering. At first I thought it was outside, but then I realized it was inside the walls. Soft whispers, dozens of them. I couldn't understand the words, but they sounded desperate, like people begging quietly. Then one sentence became clear. He opened the door. I froze. Another whisper answered. That's why it saw him. The temperature in the room dropped instantly. I could actually see my breath. Then, something moved under the bed. I heard it clearly. A slow, shifting sound, like someone crawling beneath me. I slowly looked down. Darkness. Nothing visible. Then, I heard breathing, right under my face. Slow, wet, not human.
I jumped off the bed immediately and backed against the wall. The breathing stopped. Then the bed moved slightly, as if something underneath it had turned toward me. That's when I lost control. I ran to the door, but before opening it, I remembered Ayan's warning. No matter what you hear, don't leave the room. I stood there shaking, trying to decide. Then suddenly, the thing under the bed laughed, a low, broken, inhuman laugh. I opened the door and ran. Worst mistake of my life. The hallway outside was dark, but not empty. At the far end, someone was standing there. Tall, too tall. Its head almost touched the ceiling. I couldn't see its face clearly, only its outline, and its arms were unnaturally long. It began moving toward me slowly, not walking, dragging. I turned and ran upstairs without thinking. Every step behind me sounded closer. Thump, thump, thump. I reached the second floor and immediately understood why nobody came up here. The entire hallway was covered in locks, chains, symbols painted on walls, and dozens of family photographs. But every photo had one face scratched out, the same face, in every picture. I moved closer and realized something horrifying. The scratched-out face was Ayan's older brother, a brother he never mentioned. Then I heard a voice behind me. You shouldn't be here. I turned. Ayan stood there, but something was wrong with him. His face looked pale, exhausted, like he hadn't slept in years. He grabbed my arm. We have to go downstairs now. Before I could speak, a door at the end of the hallway creaked open by itself. Darkness inside, and then a child's voice. Ayan! My friend stopped moving instantly. I watched fear consume his face, real fear. The voice came again. Why did you bring him? The air suddenly smelled rotten. The lights above us flickered violently. Then I saw it. A hand slowly gripping the edge of the doorway, but the fingers were too long, too many joints, not human. Ayan whispered, "Run." We ran downstairs. I could hear something crawling above us on the ceiling, fast, too fast. Ayan locked the living room door and pushed a heavy table against it. Then finally, he told me the truth. 10 years earlier, his older brother disappeared inside the house, not outside, inside. One night, his brother claimed he heard someone calling him upstairs. Their parents told him to ignore it. But he didn't. He opened the attic door, and after that night, he was never the same. He stopped sleeping, stopped talking normally. Sometimes he'd stand in corners for hours staring at walls. Then one morning, he vanished. No signs, no body, nothing. But after he disappeared, the house changed. Whispers started. Knocking at night, voices mimicking family members, and sometimes They would see him upstairs, watching, smiling. Ayan's mother believed something lived in the attic, something that copied people, something that wanted to be invited in, and according to her, every person who answered the voice became part of the house. That's why the windows stayed covered. That's why nobody went upstairs. That's why they never invited anyone over. Then suddenly, bang! Something slammed against the living room door. The entire frame shook. Another bang, this time harder. Then came a voice, my mother's voice. "Mohammed, open the door." I nearly collapsed, because my mother had died 2 years earlier. Ayan grabbed me instantly. "Don't listen to it." The voice kept speaking, soft, gentle, exactly like her. "Please, I'm cold." Tears filled my eyes immediately. For 1 second, I almost opened the door. Then the voice changed. It began laughing, deep, distorted. Violent banging exploded against the door. The lights went out again. And upstairs, something started screaming. Ayan's mother entered holding an old key. Her hands were shaking badly. She whispered, "It wants him now." I didn't understand until she looked directly at me. Then I realized the thing had chosen me. She gave Ayan the key. The attic. "No," Ayan whispered, but she nodded. "If we don't end this tonight, it will never stop." The screaming above us became louder, almost excited. Then, the knocking stopped completely. Silence, which somehow felt worse. Ayan looked at me. "If we go up there, do not believe anything you see." We climbed the stairs slowly. Every step creaked loudly. The hallway upstairs felt colder than before. The attic door stood at the very end, covered in scratch marks. As we approached it, I heard whispering from inside, hundreds of voices together. Then, one clear sentence. "He came willingly." Ayan unlocked the door. The second it opened, a freezing wind exploded outward. Inside the attic, there were no boxes, no furniture, just darkness, infinite darkness, impossible darkness. Like the room was larger inside than the house itself. Then shapes began moving, human shapes, standing motionless in the dark. Dozens of them, watching us. One stepped forward, and my blood turned cold. It looked exactly like Ayan, but thinner. Its smile stretched too wide, eyes completely black. "Ayan," it whispered, "you left me alone." The real Ayan began shaking violently. "That's not my brother." The thing smiled wider. Then all the other shapes started whispering together. "Stay with us. Stay. Stay." Suddenly, the fake Ayan rushed toward us unnaturally fast. Ayan shoved me aside and slammed the attic door shut. Something crashed against it from the other side instantly. The walls shook. Screaming erupted inside. Then Ayan did something unexpected. He handed me the key and smiled sadly. "If it follows someone out, it has to follow me." Before I could react, he pushed me backward down the hallway and locked himself inside the attic. I screamed his name. Then I heard fighting inside, screaming, crying, voices copying mine, copying his mother, copying everyone. Then suddenly, silence. The door stopped shaking. Everything stopped. The police never believed me. When they arrived, the attic was empty, completely empty. No Ayan, no signs of struggle, nothing. His mother disappeared 2 days later. The house was abandoned soon after, and eventually demolished. But here's the part I never tell anyone. 3 months after that night, I received a voicemail from an unknown number. There was only static at first, then a voice, Ayan's voice, softly whispering, "Don't come upstairs." The call ended, and ever since then, every night around 3 a.m., I hear knocking, 3 slow knocks, right outside my bedroom door. If you ever hear someone calling your name at night, make sure you know who's really speaking, because sometimes the thing calling you already sounds exactly like someone you trust, and once you answer, It never leaves.